Hey everybody, Mags here. We are going to review some of the hints and tips that we've been given this year on the Dynasty Hot Seat. If you are new here, do me a favor, can you like, comment, share on this video for me, please, like you can see here. And then also if you're new here, why not hit that subscribe button too? It really helps out. Right, on to the hints and tips.
Okay, so the first one, and it's something that you can take into Dynasty, but you could also apply it to redraft. You could include it in best ball. It's knowing your opponents, and obviously that's not always possible. Sometimes you join drafts where the people you're up against, you don't know them. But if you're in a Dynasty league, there's a good chance that you're going to know the people vaguely, even if you're just hopping in one that somebody's tweeted out on Twitter or somebody's put on a forum asking for other people. You're normally able to get a gauge on how that person thinks about Dynasty, how that person feels about certain teams. So, like, whenever I'm in a Dynasty startup, I'm a big Ravens fan, and everyone knows that I'm going to take my Ravens whenever I can. And it's little bits like that. Knowing that I value Ravens slightly higher means that if somebody comes to me with a trade offer, they can probably push the value a little further. And it becomes one of those things that whether you're looking for trades, whether you're in a startup draft, having an idea about the people around you, how they play Dynasty, how they, what type of players they like can be really beneficial. Like, I've been in startups with guys who crazily don't like the Konami code quarterbacks. So you know that if one of those guys is starting to head your way, that there's a good chance they're going to come past that person. You also, when it comes to trades, it can be quite easy to kind of get a gauge on what type of player is, if they're all in redraft mindset a lot of the time, then those are the guys who you can flog your kind of older players to. So I'm a big proponent of knowing the kind of people around your team and around your league and what you can get away with and what you can't.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's one of the best bits of advice. It's the entire reason this for segment it's called The Art of War, from that, Shang Shu book, the knowing your enemy and getting a good grip of what to expect and try to get that high ground on people without them even knowing it.
So my next one is learning how to actually analyze your teams. A lot of people will say, oh, my team's competitive, my team's in a rebuild or a productive struggle or whatever term you want to use. But one tool which I've found really useful, which our friend Rich Cooling at Dynasty Island has put out there, is the ability to put your roster into Excel and look at, okay, this is how I've got wide receiver X, and how it's valued over there, being able to go, all right, well, really, I've got no wide receivers in the top 10 here. I've got 4 of them who are in the 30s, but I need to be able to try and, if I really want to compete, I need to be able to make some deals to move players to be much stronger at that position, even if I'm stronger everywhere else. So yeah, there's loads of useful tools out there for ways you can do it. You can do it in a ton of different ways, but basically looking at things like trade calculators so you can establish a value on your players and totting them up and working out mathematically, okay, this is this and this is that, is a lot more productive than just looking at your roster and going, yeah, I feel pretty good about that.
Yeah, I like that as well. And knowing as well, sometimes the trickiest thing with Dynasty is understanding, a long-term asset versus like a short-term asset. So you might have a team where you have, I don't know, let's say you have like Treylon Burks and Devonta Smith and T. Higgins, like 3, really sought after, wide receivers, but not necessarily going to win you a league this year. So it's kind of balancing that, these guys are good, but I'm not ready to win right now. But I need to build the rest of my team around that and wait until those guys are at their win now phase.
Exactly, yeah. So when you can gauge that, okay, actually, I think I can be strong, really strong next year. What kind of moves can I make this year to set me up even better for next year?
Yeah, absolutely agree with that. So two great tips for us so far, Tom. Have you got a third one for us as well?
Yeah. So my third one is, and again, you can apply this to a lot more formats, DFS, best ball, redraft, anything really.
Yeah.
But learning who to listen to and deciding how to block out the noise, because I mean, we're all on fantasy Twitter far too often, particularly myself. And right now, camp reports are coming out every single day. Like yesterday was crazy for camp reports.
Yeah.
1 minute Chris Godwin was going to be ready for week 1. The next thing, Julio Jones is signing with the Bucks.
Yeah.
And it's coming thick and fast. And there's so many people, rightly so, giving their opinions on it. It can be a bit like an avalanche at times in terms of information, and it can feel like quite overwhelming in some ways. So I've found that over the last few years of playing Dynasty, I've really honed in on, maybe 5 to 10 people who are Dynasty analysts who I really value their opinions. When it comes to beat reporters, there's certain beat reporters that I put a lot more say into what they say than others. Like being a Ravens fan, you see stuff go out to the national press, and it's like, not sure I quite believe that sometimes when the local beat reporters will say nobody at the team's talking. And so really just trying to focus in on the people who you think matter when it comes to making decisions about your team is something that I've really become a big fan of over the last year or so.
Yeah, I think that's great advice, and even taking it like a step further, what you can do is take advantage of all that noise and use it against other people, sort of, right? So, for example, like one of your guys, J.K. Dobbins, obviously being placed on the pup list, but I'm still not too worried about that. Really, he obviously had that big injury. It was kind of always going to happen, but some people are freaking out about it. You said go buy J.K. Dobbins, and people are worried about it. Go take that, use that as an opportunity.
That's exactly it. So when Ian Rappaport was tweeting that sort of stuff out and putting it on NFL Network, even he said there'd been no change there. The beat reporters were like, this was the plan all along.
Yeah.
But it's the headline that gets picked up on. And then Chinese whispers on Twitter, everyone has their say, and all of a sudden it's like, wow, J.K. Dobbins is retiring.
Yeah. It's just like, it gets blown out of proportion too much. And, although a lot of people in my teams are getting put on the pup list yesterday for some reason. It seemed to be an avalanche of pup lists, but, we'll, again, not panic too much about that.
It feels crazier than usual. Am I right in thinking this pup list extension's a bit different to how it was in previous years? Because
it must be, right? Because I don't remember anything like this before.
Because every Dynasty league I'm in at the minute, the waivers are just exploding. So, like, normally I would be leaving my Dynasty leagues kind of like a little bit alone for a week or two and then really dialing back in. But at the minute, every single day, I'm having to keep a look at who's gone on a pup list and then put waiver claims in straight away. So, it's a good thing the leagues are becoming active a little earlier than they normally do. But it's chaos.
Yeah. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Remember, like this video, leave a comment if you want, and subscribe to the channel. These videos are going to be coming thick and fast, so you don't want to miss anything. So that's it for today. In the meantime, keep yourselves, keep your teams lit. We'll see you next time.